Welcome to Dolphin Dive Daily, your go-to spot for everything Miami Dolphins. If you bleed aqua and orange, hit that subscribe button and join the pod. Tyreek Hill's absence from Miami Dolphins training camp this week has sent a ripple of concern through the fan base and organization alike, just as preseason action looms large. It's early August, the stage where rosters begin to sharpen and hopefuls battle for roster spots. But instead of focusing solely on refining plays and rotations, the Dolphins find themselves in familiar territory, worrying about health. Injuries have already mounted in concerning numbers across key positions, but seeing a player of Hill's caliber sidelined, especially without a disclosed reason, raises the stakes. The Dolphins are still licking their wounds from a 2024 campaign plagued by offensive inconsistency and untimely injuries. While many were eager to see this high-powered offense back to full strength, Tyreek's latest setback puts a damper on those expectations. For fans and analysts alike, the biggest question now is whether this is precautionary or a sign of something more troubling beneath the surface. The timing couldn't be worse. The list of walking wounded in Miami seems to grow daily. Kada Kohu. The team's starting cornerback was the first significant blow, suffering a season-ending knee injury that not only depletes the secondary, but also robs the Dolphins of one of their most reliable defenders. And that was just the beginning. Right tackle Austin Jackson, a key piece of the offensive line, is also sidelined. Promising young cornerback Sam Smith has joined him in the injury tent, and fullback Alec Ingold has now entered concussion protocol, as confirmed by head coach Mike McDaniel. Each name on that list matters, but Tyreek Hill's absence casts the largest shadow. Unlike the others, Hill hasn't been given a formal injury designation, just a mysterious disappearance from the practice field, first noted by C. Isaiah Smalls, ISU, and later corroborated by Omar Kelly. It's this vagueness that adds to the concern. Nobody likes dealing with uncertainty. Hill's health isn't just a minor footnote in Miami's training camp storyline. It's a headline. When you lose a player like Hill, even temporarily, it changes the entire complexion of your offensive scheme. In 2024, Hill played through a nagging wrist injury that ultimately required off-season surgery, though he fought valiantly to stay. On the field, his explosiveness was visibly diminished and his impact dulled. That injury, coupled with quarterback Tua Tagovailoa's 6-game absence and an offensive line that struggled mightily to create running lanes, rendered the Dolphins was no passing attack toothless for long stretches of the season. Now, with optimism high that this offense could bounce back with a healthy Hill leading the charge, another injury, especially an undisclosed one, throws that optimism into chaos. It begs the question, are we headed for another season of what-ifs? Or will this team finally find its stride? The Dolphins aren't just built around Tyreek Hill's speed, they are dependent on it. His presence stretches defenses, opens up space for Jalen Waddle, and keeps safeties honest. When Hill isn't at full speed or missing altogether, the ripple effect is massive. Defensive coordinators can cheat up to stop the run, double team, Waddle, and generally clamp down on a system that's meant to be dynamic. Even in training camp, Hill's role is critical for Tua Tagovailoa to get into rhythm, for new plays to be tested under real speed conditions, and for younger receivers to understand how to operate alongside an elite talent. Pulling himself from practice, as Omar Kelly observed on Tuesday, isn't just a red flag. It's an alarm bell. That Hill wasn't back on the field. Wednesday only deepens the concern. If the injury is minor, fans can breathe easier. But if not, the Dolphins might already be behind the 8-ball before preseason even begins. While some might argue that it's best to rest veterans like Hill during training camp, especially coming off surgery, the absence still feels different. This time, this wasn't a planned rest day. This wasn't load management. This was a player removing himself from the field, followed by radio silence from the team. That's what turns whispers into full-blown speculation. Coach McDaniel has been tight-lipped, which only adds fuel to the fire. In today's NFL, even the illusion of transparency is crucial for maintaining trust among fans and media. With Miami facing off against the Chicago Bears in just a few days, the expectation is that we won't see Hill in uniform, and that's a hard pill to swallow. The bigger concern is whether this issue lingers longer than anyone hopes. Can Hill bounce back and rejoin the team for Friday's joint practice? If not, that timeline becomes the next clue in a growing mystery. Friday's joint practice with the Bears is shaping up to be one of the most watched sessions of the preseason. Not for flashy touchdowns or breakout rookies, but to see whether, 10 is back on the field. If Tyreek Hill suits up, it will calm a city's worth of nerves. If he doesn't, expect the speculation machine to ramp up even further. The Dolphins are already skating on thin ice with their injury report. Any defense is bruised. The offensive line is patchworked together with backups, and now their most lethal weapon may be out of commission. Miami was counting on a clean bill of health to start the 2025 season strong. Instead, they're entering preseason like a team already in survival mode. Every practice without Hill on the field adds pressure on TUA or McDaniel's staff, and on the other receivers to step up. It's a lot to ask when August has barely begun. Tyreek Hill is more than a star. He's a tone setter, a locker room energizer, and a symbol of Miami's offensive identity. His swagger is infectious, his work ethic respected, and his game breaking. Speed unmatched. When Hill is on the field, anything feels possible. That's what makes his absence feel like a gut punch. Dolphins fans remember all too well how last season's hopes faded week by week as injuries mounted and consistency vanished. A fresh season is supposed to wipe that slate clean, but deja vu is creeping in. Losing Kohu already put the defense in scramble mode. Missing Hill even for just a few weeks could start a downward spiral the team can't afford. What's most frustrating is that no one knows exactly what's wrong. Until the team provides more clarity or Hill returns to the field, all Miami can do is wait and hope this isn't the beginning of another injury-plagued campaign. And what of Tua Tagovailoa, entering a critical year in his career? Tua needs all the help he can get. The quarterback, who missed significant time in 2024, was counting on this training camp to build chemistry, gain rhythm, and fine-tune the offense that once looked unstoppable. Without Hill, that task becomes exponentially harder. Timing routes, deep shots, option plays. So much of what Miami wants to do on offense requires Hill's presence. Even if Tua is healthy and confident, he's not the same quarterback without his top receiver stretching the field. The offensive line isn't trustworthy enough to give him 5 seconds in the pocket. The running game isn't dominant enough to win games alone. The pressure is mounting. And while Waddle is a fantastic option in his own right, there's a big difference between being a 1B and being the 1A. Way when defenses are gunning for you. Hill's status impacts everything. The hope, of course, is that this is all just precautionary. Maybe Hill felt something tighten up, chose to be cautious, and will be back by Friday's practice with a smile on his face and cleats laced. That's the best case scenario. But in Miami, fans have been trained to brace for worse. The injuries always seem to pile up. The explanations are often vague. The timeline's inconsistent. When McDaniel says he's being careful, it often means something bigger is brewing, with preseason games so close and the regular season just over a month away. Every missed rep matters. Hill doesn't need many snaps to be great, but he does need health. And that's what makes this such a nervous time in South Florida. The Dolphins aren't just trying to make the playoffs, they're trying to be contenders. And contenders don't survive long without their biggest stars. As the Dolphins prepare to face the Bears in their preseason opener, the narrative has already shifted. What should be a time for excitement and evaluation has become a watchful waiting period. Will Hill show up? Will others heal in time? Will the Dolphins dodge another injury-plagued season? Or is this the opening chapter of a familiar, frustrating story? All eyes will be on that practice field in Chicago, hoping to catch a glimpse of Tyreek in motion. Because when Hill is healthy, hope lives. But when he's not, the air gets heavy and doubt creeps in fast. Miami fans have waited all off-season to believe again. A setback now would feel cruel. And so we wait. For updates, for clarity, and most of all for Tyreek Hill to do what he does best. Turn on the Jets and silence every worry in a flash. Until then, the concern grows by the day. Still with us? Then show some love. Hit that like button and let us know in the comments. What's your take on the Fins this week? In what can only be described as one of the most jaw-dropping twists in recent NFL memory, rumors have begun circulating that Tom Brady, yes, that Tom Brady is coming out of retirement again, this time with one singular goal in mind: to play alongside Tua Tagovailoa in Miami. While nothing has been officially confirmed by the Miami Dolphins organization or Brady's camp, the buzz is growing at an unstoppable pace. Whispers from inside league circles suggest that Brady has been in quiet talks with Dolphins executives over the past few weeks, potentially setting the stage for the most shocking comeback in professional football history. Multiple sources have claimed Brady was recently spotted in South Florida, and while he's known to frequent the area, insiders say this trip was different. This wasn't just a vacation, this felt like business. And in the NFL, when there's smoke, there's almost always fire. The idea of Brady returning to the league for a second time was once seen as completely absurd. After announcing his retirement for good in early 2023, Brady seemed committed to life beyond football. He inked a massive broadcasting deal, began investing in sports franchises, and started showing up more regularly at events outside the gridiron. But for someone with Brady's competitive fire, the call of the field may simply be too strong to ignore, especially when you consider the state of the Miami Dolphins. Tua is in his prime, the receiving core is lethal with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, and Mike McDaniel is building something that feels special in South Beach. If you were Brady, nearing 50 but still fit as ever, and you saw an opportunity to plug yourself into a ready-made Super Bowl contender, how could you possibly say no? The Dolphins themselves are no strangers to quarterback drama. From Dan Marino's long shadow to the chaotic post-Marino years, and now to the Tua era, Miami has always been searching for that next great chapter. But what if Brady isn't coming in to replace Tua, but to mentor him? Some insiders believe that the plan isn't for Brady to be the full-time starter, but to act as a dual-threat weapon. An experienced game manager when needed, a locker room guru, and a safety net should Tua face injuries or setbacks. Imagine the value of having Tom Brady in your quarterback room, on your sideline, even in the huddle. This wouldn't just be a depth chart addition. This would be a seismic culture shift. It would signal to the entire league that Miami isn't just aiming for the playoffs. They want rings, plural. Let's not forget, this isn't the first time Brady and the Dolphins have been linked. Back in 2022, there were widespread reports that Miami had tampered with Brady while he was still under contract with the Buccaneers. The team was fined, executives were suspended, and the NFL dropped the hammer hard. But those rumors, as wild as they were at the time, now seem like precursors to this potential reunion. It's as if those earlier moves were the first dominoes in a long, carefully plotted strategy. Some believe that this was always the plan, that Brady was eyeing Miami not just as a vacation spot, but as his final football home. And now, with the league's attention elsewhere and the Dolphins flying under the radar, Brady might finally be making his move. Not out of desperation, but out of destiny. Social media has erupted with speculation since the news broke. Dolphins fans are divided. Some are ecstatic at the idea of the GOAT wearing aqua and orange, while others worry about what this means for Tua's future. Brady loyalists, on the other hand, are just thrilled at the chance to see their idol back in pads one more time. Former teammates, analysts, and even current players have weighed in with cryptic tweets and eyebrow-raising reactions. Somebody checked the South Beach skies for GOAT sightings, one player tweeted. Another posted simply, Brady, Tua, Tyreek, Waddle, madness. While no one is saying anything definitively, it feels like the NFL is holding its collective breath. Something big is brewing. And it all centers around number 12. Adding Brady to this Dolphin squad would be a logistical puzzle, but not an impossible one. The team would need to make some cap space, potentially reworking a few contracts and adjusting the depth chart. But the upside is undeniable. Brady's football IQ remains unmatched, and his leadership could be exactly what Miami needs to take. The next step. For a team that has shown flashes of brilliance but hasn't quite broken through, this might be the missing piece. Some insiders have even floated the idea of a dual quarterback system, with Brady handling critical short yardage plays, clock management situations, or stepping in when the stakes are highest. It would be unconventional, sure, but if any team And any coach are bold enough to try it. It's the Dolphins and Mike McDaniel. There's also the narrative side of things, something Brady has always understood better than most. Imagine ending his already mythic career, not in Tampa, not in New England, but in Miami, taking a once underperforming franchise to Super Bowl glory. The storyline writes itself. Redemption, legacy, mentorship, even rivalry. Remember, the Dolphins were always a thorn in Brady's side during his Patriots years. What better way to flip the script than by joining forces with them now? For Tua, it could be a masterclass opportunity. For Brady, it would be the ultimate mic drop. And for the league, it would be must-watch TV every single week. The marketing potential is massive. Jerseys would fly off the shelves. Primetime slots would stack up. The Brady effect would hit Miami like a tidal wave. Of course there are skeptics. Some believe this is all media noise, another off-season rumor spun out of control. They point to Brady's commitments outside football, his age, and the sheer improbability of a return. But we've heard all this before. We heard it in 2020 when he left New England. We heard it in 2022 when he announced his first retirement, and we heard it again in 2023. And yet Brady always finds a way to surprise us. He's not built like other players. His mind works differently. He's obsessed with a grind, the challenge, the story. If he truly believes he can still compete and that this Miami roster gives him a chance to win, then why wouldn't he come back? Legends don't fade quietly. They roar back. The Dolphins organization, for their part, has remained silent. No press releases, no leaks, just radio silence, which in itself is telling. If this were nonsense, someone would have shut it down by now. The fact that no one has dismissed the rumor is only fanning the flames. It feels like something's being orchestrated behind closed doors, something carefully calculated. Perhaps Brady is waiting for the right moment to make it official, or maybe the team is finalizing details before going public. Either way, fans and analysts alike are glued to their screens waiting for confirmation. The NFL season hasn't even started yet, and already it feels like we've had our first blockbuster twist. If Brady does return, and all signs are starting to point that way, it will redefine everything we thought we knew about this upcoming season. Until something is confirmed, we're left with rumors, speculation, and tantalizing possibilities. But if this is real, if Tom Brady is really about to unretire and suit up alongside Tua Tagovailoa in Miami, then we're about to witness one of the most insane sports stories of the decade. Forget drama, forget surprises. This is legend-making material. And knowing Brady, that might be exactly the point. That's a wrap for today's dive. If you're loving the content, share it with a fellow Dolphins fan, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a splash. Fins up.